We're looking at the advent of sidewalk delivery robots, I believe. So I'm going to hand over for our keynote, see if that works, to one of our partner companies, Goggo Network. And this is entitled AVs for the Last Mile Logistics Safer, Cleaner and Faster. Please would you welcome Yasmin Faj.
Wow. All right, so I'm standing between lunch and everything, so I'm going to make this joke, but try to make it interesting and entertaining and not get blind in the process. Honestly, there's so much light that I can't not stand here.
Hey, do you want the microphone?
Yeah.
Use the microphone.
Perfect. So it was very interesting to hear in this panel, you know, the reflection about when we are thinking autonomy, what are the use cases, what really autonomy means, because that's the question I've been asking myself since I started Goggo Network 4 years ago. And we started with a very ambitious vision of, you know, we're going to build in Europe the next robo-taxi fleets and really change the way people move and travel. And now we have a company that is basically a fleet that optimize autonomous logistics for last mile delivery. So to the point of one of the question in the public, the question I've been really also asking myself with the team is, you know, how do we simplify the problem of the technology? Because at the end of the day, autonomy is a big word, but it entails like very different problems to crack, right? And if you manage to say, okay, if there are no people inside, is it just easier to develop a real service? Because you can do a lot of pilots, you can do a lot of tests, but the questions are, can you really create a service that, you know, delivers and that can scale in the coming years? And if you manage to have also lower speed or dedicated lanes, you can also get faster to scalability. So I'm gonna, yeah, I think we have a presentation. Okay, so maybe very briefly about myself. As I was saying, I'm co-founder and CEO of Goggo Network, which is a company invested by SoftBank and Axel Springer that we created 4 years ago. And I'm also a venture partner of early stage venture capital fund, and also CEO and director of Levier Holding, which is a SPAC focused on mobility. Before I served as an associate partner in McKinsey in the New York office, and I lead different practice in innovation and private equity. So I think for me that's enough. So regarding the problem we're trying to solve, I'm not going to read this slide. I think we all know that like last mile delivery is an increasing pain point for cities and companies to solve. Home deliveries have been growing, especially post-COVID period. Consumers are asking for speed and convenience and trying to lower delivery costs, while companies are struggling to actually fulfill the needs. And we're asking them on top of that, which is the right question to ask, to fulfill the need with a sustainable solutions. And when you think that in an average city, 20% of the vehicles are dedicated to logistics, but that they contribute to more than 50% of the pollution of a city, you can ask yourself, if we manage to crack this first 20%, we can really make a difference and an impact in the city. And our vision is that you can solve a lot of this by using autonomous vehicles and making sure also to use vehicles that have the right size and the right capacity based on the continent. So some of the figures I was saying, but of course, like logistics are contributing to a lot of the pollution. Trucks are empty most of the time, and so on. So I started speaking about the learnings. I think I said that I don't have the answer to the question, when do we're going to have at scale autonomous vehicle everywhere in city, but what I know is that it's not going to be a date. It's going to scale by use case, and as someone as well was saying in the panel, we already have autonomous metros in Paris, we have autonomous buses that are going to be in dedicated lane, and you have like logistic bots that are growing in different cities. So my personal conviction is that logistics will come first, for the reason I was explaining before, except in the cases of very dedicated and standard lanes like you have for bus, metro, or platooning. It's a very highly regulated market. At the end of the day, you're entering into the cities and the integration of different modes of transportation. And so working always with city will be key to ensure that you can create an integrated safety network and to ensure that you can also limit and control and orient where those vehicles should be. OEM retailers are not going to operate fleets. Today, a lot of them don't operate their own logistics, but this is like a different type of animal. I always think, for me, there's the same level of change between autonomous driving and a car than with a horse and a car. It's the same revolution, because you're just looking suddenly at the software on wheel that has nothing in common with the car. I know we will have some debate this afternoon with some startups that are, and I know the founder of this one that are still trying to build the AV stack. I have a lot of admiration and respect, because I think that the most likely scenario is that we will have to license this technology to a couple of, providers that have been investing billions for the last 12 or 15 years in the process. Just as an example, Google has been spending more than 100 million each month for the last 13 years on the tech. And the vehicle, and this is also one of our, let's say, pillars at Goggo, is going to be a commodity in the sense that you see a lot of different now provider of sidewalk robots, and what will make the difference is actually being able to have the permits and be able to operate them safely in the network. So what do we do at Goggo? We are building this technology platform that integrates different type of vehicle manufacturers, from the sidewalk robots to the vans that could go just on the private sites or on roads, depending on when permits and regulation allows. And we connect with our clients, Carrefour and others, to actually help them transition their fleets toward AV logistics vehicles. And we help, of course, with regulations and with the operations. At the end of the day, I think what we're all trying to do is how can we give back the city to people? How can we ensure that the cities are more sustainable, that we are offering more competitive solutions to both consumers and companies, and how we can have more reliability as well in the service. So just some example of the current operations that if you go to Paris, if you go to Zaragoza, if you go to Madrid, if you go soon to Munich, you will be able to see. This is, I would say, the smallest vehicle we have, and they are like basically doing the work of the last feet, or let's say the last mile of a rider. So it could be for food delivery, it can be for groceries, and it's currently in Zaragoza, which is the fourth city of Spain, and it was interesting cities because it's always the city that is used for any innovation or any pilot to scale. If it works in Zaragoza, it will work in the rest of Spain. And it's very, I mean, look at this, it's like less than 5 kilometers per hour. It's going on, not with mixed traffics, because one of the biggest problems of autonomous vehicles is actually other vehicles. And so this, you can test it, you can have a service. This is something that is happening today a lot in the US, in Asia, and it's coming in Europe. In Milton Keynes, I think you have about over 300. This is another type of use case that we have in Paris. This is actually people that are doing their grocery. So it looks like there is a driver, but there is no driver. But the regulation in France asks that the vehicle still keep the driver's seat with the steering wheel, but there are no drivers. And basically, here it's coming from a warehouse, and it's doing different stops, like a pick and drop of Amazon with grocery to different university campuses to actually provide people a solution for their grocery delivery. And it goes, this one is, in terms of technology, is more complex. It goes on open roads. It goes at up to 50 kilometers an hour, and it's in mixed traffic conditions. Again, another use case is of sidewalk robots that I think is self-explanatory. And we're about to launch as well another partnership with Mobileye in Spain with vans deliverance. But just to say that at the end of the day, I think last mile delivery can really be solved by logistic AV solutions, and that we don't need to wait 10, 50, I was scared when I heard 50 years for this technology to scale. And so I think I have more time, so I'm going to pause here and leave it for questions. Thank you.
Do you? Okay. Do you want to ask any questions? Are there any questions? I'm going to be running late. Do you want to stay there?
Okay,
Question.
Okay.
You'll have to stay at the...
Yeah.
Where was I going? Pass the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm Ugo from ProRobot. I'm a transport planner. I think this is a wonderful presentation. I was wondering, are you in communication also with warehousing and consolidation centers as well in terms to optimize your delivery process? Or is this still, how are you engaging with third-party stakeholders in cases of Amazon, Hermes, UDMPs for the individual delivery systems? How is your system integrating with third-party stakeholders such as Amazon's, UDMPs, et cetera, et cetera?
So we have two ways of working with partners. One is, are we doing ourselves the logistic, or are we just providing, let's say, the platform and the fleets? So if we are doing ourselves the logistic, basically it's easy to integrate with the end retailer or customer, and then we provide them with the fleet and the service. But some clients basically have their own logistic dedicated provider, and in the end, it's more like a SaaS model where we work with them, with the platform, the partnership, and they use it. So we are flexible. We have two models.
Hi, Dida Soyuz with Zenzik, and my question is, if I'm a customer and I ordered multiple packages coming from different retailers, is there a solution that you're currently working on that I don't need to stay at home and wait all day for the deliveries to come, and I can just schedule one particular slot and I have just an autonomous vehicle bringing all 5 packages at once?
No, exactly. That's the solution we are piloting in Paris right now. Is what is the hardest part for any scalability is having the permits to be able to be in different areas with autonomous vehicles. So for instance, in Paris, we have a dedicated area where we have 4 drop-off points that have been agreed with the government, the university, and people can decide and reserve the slot where they want to pick up so that they don't have this issue, because it's one of the biggest pain points of retailers. It's like, do I have to be at home? No, I'm not at home. There's nobody to pick it up. So that's really, like, I think in the future, one of the most important use cases we will see. And I can totally imagine in cities where now you have like garbage bins, where we will have like bots that will stop for X amount of time and people get their things and go home, or actually give back, because a lot of so is like giving back the packages if you want to do returns and so on.
I've just had another question, if people can have a copy of your presentation, but I know that today's being filmed, so everything will be on the Autonomy website.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Autonomy team will be able to help with
Yes.
that one. Thank you very much.
Thank
Can
you.
we round of applause for Yasmin? Thank you.